YouTube was good. What's happening? What's popping with y'all, man? Hey, I was watching a video. The reaction I did, the video I posted right before this one. At the end of it, they mentioned Columbine shooting, and I was like, I gotta react to it, bro. Like, I know what it is, but I don't know what it is. Like, I know what happened, but I ain't never really watched like a documentary or nothing on it. So why not do it right now? Let's jump into it. Like, bro, this shit's so crazy. I have never seen this before on YouTube. But I understand, though.
In 1999, students Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold would embark on a massacre that would make history.
People were getting shot all around me.
And the name of one Colorado high school synonymous with tragedy.
Columbine.
Children were running from the school at breakneck speeds, and I knew that the world had changed.
As the clock ticked,
That guy is in a black trench coat. Carrying the shotgun.
the body count rose,
They would pop underneath a table, they would say something like peekaboo, and they would shoot someone.
and with it the question, why have these two young
Damn.
men waged war on...
Damn. Bro, imagine you, like, nigga, you were absolutely terrified. There's gunshots all around you, hiding under a table. And a motherfucker peek under there. Look at you like this. It says, peekaboo. Shoot you in your, right between your eyes. Right with this pimple on my forehead, shoot you right there.
their classmates and teachers.
A bullet entered the side of my backpack, spun around and actually shot me in the back.
And committed the world's most notorious killing spree.
What caused them to have so much hatred they were willing to walk in and kill as many people as possible?
Like, it is some crazy ass shit, bro. Like, you gotta be different to do some shit like this. Like, they just straight up, this just downright evil to a point, bro. I don't mean to joke or no shit, but like, they really just doing it for the love of the game, bro.
In 1999, the area of Columbine, on the outskirts of Denver, Colorado, had been the epitome of ordinary.
It's a suburban area. It's pretty quiet, not a lot of crime. It's overwhelmingly white, middle class, which is to say a very homogeneous place.
So
But
breeding
one
grounds
spring
for
day
type
in
of shit like this.
1999 would bring
Yeah, I
the
said it.
unremarkable
I said it. Breeding grounds for type
worldwide
of shit like
notoriety.
this.
You know, April 20th of 99 was
April
was a
20th.
typical day. I was eager
Shit,
to
anniversary coming
get my
up
grades
soon.
bumped up because I was 15 at the time, so getting a driver's permit was definitely on the horizon.
Morning definitely was just a regular day.
I got my shit
Starting
so
my
fast.
shift, I was an emergency response specialist. I just took regular phone calls to the sheriff's office, as well as 911 phone calls.
Normal day, we had ran a couple, basic calls, medical calls.
It was just like any other day. Went off to work. I was leaving that day for a conference in another part of
Damn,
our
all
state.
these people woke up. No clue that this day their entire life was finna change.
Tom's 15-year-old son made his way to Columbine High School.
Daniel was very shy kid. Very shy, very reserved, very sweet, very lovable kid. He was someone who, even as a teenager, was not ashamed to give his mom a big hug.
No.
For fellow students, 16-year-old
Hey.
Craig Scott and his
Love y'all mamas and appreciate y'all mamas while y'all still got them. Do it. Do it. Go give her a big ass hug, man. Go give her a nice ass kiss on the cheek, bro. Love y'all parents while y'all still got them, bro. Appreciate them.
his
'Cause a
17-year-old
lot of
sister
people who
Rachel,
don't got 'em.
the morning had not started harmoniously.
My sister was in the car. She was honking her horn because I was making us late. And I had to have my hair just perfect. And we got into the car together, and she was kind of getting on to me about being late. And we got into an argument. This is the road that Rachel and I were on together.
I got
to
into an
school.
argument with my mom before
And
school.
Rachel
So crazy.
would
One time,
pull
bro, she didn't even
into
want to say nothing to
here
me when I was getting
drop
out the
me off.
car when she dropped me off at school.
She was just asking me not to make us late all the time, and so we were.
Yo, looking back on that shit funny as hell. I remember getting out the car like, damn, she that mad.
Kind of back and forth in an argument, and we pulled up to the school, and I got out of the car and I turned and I looked at her and I slammed the car door shut. And I walked in the school. I had no idea that'd be the last time that I'd see Rachel alive.
Damn, what was it like being a survivor? of this
Around
shit?
11:19 a.m., Columbine School, West Entrance. Sean Graves and his friend's world was about to change forever.
For lunch, there was 3 of us that day that chose not to eat. Dan Robaugh, Lance Kirkland, and myself. We stepped out the side door.
We'll never forget
like
them
we
mans.
typically would. We'd usually grab a soda at the vending machines right there, and we'd just jet up and take the path off. Only that morning, things were a little different. We were looking up at the top of the dirt hill, and we saw two guys that were wearing all black, their black trench coats, and with them they were carrying a couple of black duffel bags. We witnessed them loading weapons that we just assumed were toys, and that's when it started.
I understand giving the benefit of the doubt, but bro, 2 niggas not on the school campus, really, up a dirt hill in all black trench coats. They definitely got gloves on, probably, with duffel bags. I know they probably were far away, but toy guns and real guns, they have a very distinctive, different look about themselves. Like, you can, like, bro, when you see a real gun, you know it. Like, you know it, bro. Like, even an airsoft, like, if you look at an airsoft gun and a real gun, bro, you know the difference. But damn.
They showered us with rounds, and Dan and Lance both went down.
Yeah.
1 floor above, in the library, Craig and his friend Matt were sitting revising.
You know, we thought that we were hearing fireworks. We saw students running away from the school. They were trekking through the soccer field. You know, we thought that, you know, it was a senior prank. It's about that time for the end of the year for,
you can't even
for
play
some
like,
silly prank to happen.
You
It was
can't
a
even
tradition.
play like that.
But this was no prank. A nightmare that would shock the world had just begun. At approximately 11:19 a.m. on the 20th of April 1999, a deadly killing spree had begun at Columbine High School in Colorado. Outside the school cafeteria, 15-year-old student Sean Graves and his friends Dan and Lance were being fired on by 2 teenagers dressed in black trench coats.
My body was completely behind a concrete wall, so I was protected. The only thing on me that was sticking past that was my backpack. A bullet entered the side of my backpack, spun around and actually shot me in the back and shot out my right hip. And at that moment, I lost my legs completely. I was paralyzed from the waist down immediately.
He reliving them moments. God.
What Sean had originally thought was a prank was far from it.
I found myself laying halfway in the school and halfway out, and at that moment I knew that my worst nightmare had come true. Months, possibly years before the shooting actually took place, I had a reoccurring nightmare of somebody in my family or even myself being paralyzed. It didn't make any sense then, but the second I looked back at my legs, I realized that that dream had come true, and I was the one that was going to be paralyzed.
Sean lay in the doorway of the cafeteria.
Crazy how life works.
And for hundreds of students inside, the reality of what was happening was beginning to sink in.
All I remember from that moment was just the fear in their eyes, looking at me, and I'm sure I had fear looking back. And that's when the fire alarm went off and the cafeteria started to evacuate.
Look at chaos. Just chaos.
Here at Columbine High School, we have shots being fired.
Damn.
Okay. The guy is in a black trench coat. During the shot guy. They just shot somebody inside the cafeteria. I'm going to have to try and get out of here and call you back.
Bro, I ain't gonna count.
Over
I ain't gonna count. I'm not even thinking about calling the police. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm not even thinking about calling the police. Trying to get out that motherfucker. It did, like, depending on... I'm trying to get out that motherfucker.
Prior year, the two mystery shooters had made several extraordinary videos. Both spoof and serious, that were chillingly similar to the spree to come. The violent, merciless attacks played out in the videos had now become a reality.
So this is
the two shooters walked down to try and finish off everyone, and I watched one of the shooters shoot Lance in the face.
At Jefferson County Sheriff's Department, Detective Kate Batten was just returning from an early lunch.
I asked what was going on. They said that there was a shooting at Columbine High School. So at that point, I started driving towards Columbine. And that's when it became surreal, because the dispatcher was talking about snipers on the roof. They were talking about bombs exploding.
Oh, shit.
And I'm just astounded that this is information that's being relayed in suburban Littleton.
Nah, these niggas on some other shit.
Ran in, the door was shut, and she said there's been a report of shootings or gunfire and bombs exploding. And I'm thinking, what are you talking
These
about?
niggas think they in a video game.
I came out of my office and I ran down here, and as I looked down the corridor, I saw a gunman coming towards me with the shotgun. When I was staring down and I made contact, it seemed like the size of a cannon.
You ever stared death in the face? You ever stared death in the face? Shit he did. That shit changed him forever. Imagine you the principal at a school and you hearing gunshots, bombs, boom, shit going off. You run outside, you look down the hallway, and it's a nigga staring right back at you with a big ass shotgun in his hands. You cock that motherfucker and start walking towards you like John Connor. Like the fucking Terminator.
All I kept thinking is what it was going to feel like to be shot. You know, I thought of my family. Was I going to die quickly? Each time a bullet was fired from the gun, then glass would shatter behind me. I hear bullets exploding in that area. And what really probably saved my life is girls coming out of the gymnasium in this crossing hall. They were coming into the crossfire, and I wanted to make sure that they were not hit by the gunman's gunfire. I ran down to this hallway, and I was able to get the girls into the gymnasium area.
Emergency.
Well, we just got a frantic call from my daughter saying he's chasing us with a gun, and then she hung up the phone, and you could hear the screaming in the hallways.
Yeah.
6 weeks earlier, March the 16th, 1999, in the mountains south of Columbine.
Man, I ain't got no kids.
The two
I ain't
shooters
no dad.
recorded another video.
But bro,
this time, the
imagine
weapons
getting
were
that
real.
call from your kid, your baby.
That's a slug.
He holding that bitch sideways. Y'all see, cuz?
This time,
Peep.
the weapons were real.
He holding that bitch sideways. That nigga think he tough. Go on the fuck head, bro.
That's a slug.
Imagine that in someone's brain.
Both were students at Columbine High
Niggas
School,
on some other
just
shit,
weeks
man.
away from graduating.
What's wrong with y'all?
Entry exit.
17-year-old
Shut up,
Dylan
nigga.
Klebold and 18-year-old Eric Harris.
That sawed-off got so much fucking power. That bitch finna pop out of hand. That sawed-off ain't bullshitting with him. That bitch.
Eric Harris
He almost shot his motherfucking hand off.
and
Boom.
18-year-old Eric
Boom.
Harris.
No.
Harris was a
There's
young
three of 'em.
man that was in advanced classes. You know, he had dreams of going to the military. He applied to enlist in the Marines. Klebold was a kid who a few weeks prior had visited one of the state universities in Arizona, so his plan was to go to college. Klebold was at prom 3 nights prior.
Now both Harris
They're
and
doing some normal
Klebold seemed
teenager shit.
intent
Now
on
they-
the destruction of the school and everyone in it. By 11:27 a.m., the two shooters were in an area near the library.
Bro, how much? Bro, it's been like 15 minutes, bro, and it seemed like so much shit done happened.
Where Craig Scott and numerous fellow students were working.
We're hearing the firecrackers. We're thinking that it's a prank. We're laughing, we're joking about it. And then that's when a teacher ran into the room. She ran over to the phone. She got on the phone to call the police.
Jefferson County 911.
The phone rings, and I had a caller on the other end of the line who stated that something was happening at Columbine High School.
There is a student here with a gun. He has shot out a window.
There was children in the library, and she wanted to obviously, protect them and take care of them.
Under the table, kids! Heads under the table!
She saw the shots happen. She knew this was serious. She knew this was real.
Okay. We've got help on the way, ma'am. Okay. Okay. Oh, God. Stay in the line with me. Oh, God. Kids, just stay down.
I got underneath the table.
Oh, imagine being a 911 dispatcher, bro. Imagine the shit you gotta hear and listen. It's 911 dispatchers out here that don't listen to people die, get shot to death, stabbed to death, burned to death. Done had to listen to people get their ass beat. Like, fuck, there's some strong people in the
My
world.
buddy Matt, and then my friend Isaiah, he came and he sat next to me.
Isaiah look like a mean
Still
ass
lying
track and field
paralyzed in the
athlete.
cafeteria doorway, 15-year-old Sean could do nothing but listen.
I can hear explosions going off upstairs, and I can hear people screaming, and I can hear gunshots just echoing throughout the school, and there's just chaos everywhere.
I've got every student in this library on the floor. You better stay on the floor. We have paramedics, we have fire, and we have police en route.
We were just sitting down to lunch.
Hey, what the fire
and
department gonna
the
do
tones went
in this
off for a
situation?
Reported
Like, nigga,
possible
send the
threat.
police, send the SWAT, send the fucking army, send the Marines, the U.S. Special Forces, the CIA, send all them. But what the hell the firefighters gonna do? Oh, blowing on them, trip. Let me.
By a shooting near Columbine High School. My partner and I jumped into the medic unit and started heading towards Columbine.
Oh, firefighters
As
are
we
medics
pulled up,
too?
several students running by, and one young gal had a bullet hole in her, I believe, right calf. We treated her.
Not gonna count.
After
like
several
me,
minutes shooting and throwing
driving the
homemade bombs in the
fire truck
corridor
through the school.
outside,
No cap.
Harris and Klebold now approached the library
Like
entrance,
if I'm pulling up and I
where
see
the
them
teacher
niggas,
was
and I
under
see
the
them
desk,
like
on
through
the
a
line
doorway.
to 911 dispatch.
I remember trying to get her to close the doors and lock them to keep everyone in.
Is there any way you can block the door so no one can get in? I do not. She's right outside that door. I'm afraid to go to the door. It's okay.
It was trying
No,
to
it's not okay.
keep her
Close
calm
that, lock that
so
door.
that I could, figure out what was going on.
Bro, sometimes you don't have time to think and figure out what's going on. Sometimes you just gotta act, bro. Like my other video, bro. Like when I was talking about an officer, that dude, the Nathaniel Jubit dude. I watched that. That's why I'm watching this right now. But like, it was an officer. Like he made a decision. He told some people to stay where they was, and like, I could tell there was no thought behind it. It was just instinct with what he felt was right. That's what he told them to do. Like, she felt like she told her to lock the door, but she was like she's scared to. So she was like, okay, it's okay, you don't have to. No, baby, you gotta lock that door. Because if you don't lock that door, all of y'all is going to die. All of y'all is going to die. And if she gets up and run into that door and don't make it, all of them is gonna die. But if she get there, if she lock that door, they might make it out. They just might make it out. Her not locking the door gave them a 99.9999999% chance of dying today. Let's see.
I'll rip off your goddamn head!
Dylan was a family friend of our kids for a long time. He grew up here, sort of.
Dylan was here a lot. The kids met each other in the first grade and became best friends.
Damn, imagine that. Like, this shit happened.
There were
then
never fights. A lot of
you
kids
like,
you have to
bro,
send
he was
home
in our
after a while
house.
because, it gets with boys. It was great. The three of them got along great.
He was a nice, gentle young man.
Dylan Klebold was born in Colorado,
He be smoking a
and at the
cigarette.
time of the shooting was living in his parents' designer home in a desirable natural area
Oh, this
just
that shit.
outside the town.
Lightning McQueen was racing it.
Dylan's parents, they were
Lightning
intellectuals
McQueen and Doc was racing it.
and artists at heart. They had met at Ohio
What's it
State
called, Route
University
66?
In the art program.
They didn't believe in spanking. They didn't believe in guns. They didn't believe in war. They were pacifists.
Eric Harris's background was also far from underprivileged.
Eric's father was ex-military. He was a decorated Air Force test pilot.
It required them to
His weapon
bounce around a
handling
bit from city to city as his father would get transferred, but lived in normal middle-class neighborhoods, not living in the inner city and subject to gangs or drugs or violence. It did affect Eric, however, always having to move to another school, make new friends again. That was tough for him.
As it is for a lot of people.
Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold were both deeply into computers, and
Nah,
both complained they were victims
like being a
of bullying
military
by
kid, like
sporty students
I
known
know
as
you
jocks.
see so many different people, and at an early age, you learn
After settling in the
how
Columbine area,
fucked up people is.
Harris
for
became
real.
friends with
Like,
Klebold, and as such
learn
also hung out
how-
with Dylan's friend Brooks
how
Brown.
little good people there are.
But
in
it
the
would
world.
not always be a smooth relationship.
He had thrown a snowball at Brooks's car and cracked the windshield. And a kid came up and said,
snowball?
"Here's Eric's backpack. I took it while he was throwing the snowballs." So I'm thinking, well, what's this? I'm going to take the backpack back. So we drove down in the car, and I rolled down the window, and I said to Eric, I've got your backpack, meet me at your mom's house. And we rolled back up the window. Well, he started banging on the window, crazy, saying, "Give me my backpack." He was frantic. That was the first time I saw that anger. And it was very unusual. It was quick, and it was fast, and it was unrelenting.
I will
That's the
freaking kill
motherfuckers
you.
you gotta
I'm gonna
watch.
pull out a goddamn shotgun.
Bro, it ain't the first time I said this shit. I told y'all, bro, them motherfuckers with them tempers, bro, you gotta watch them, bro. You gotta watch them. Because they'll fuck around and do some shit like this. They'll fuck around and do some foul-ass shit to you, bro. Be careful. Pay attention to the
20th of April, 1999,
the red flags
11:29 a.m.
are there. They're there.
Columbine High School, Western Side. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold entered the library where 4 staff members and 52 students were hiding.
52.
As soon as they came in, they were shooting off their guns. They began to yell at students. They were making some mocking comments.
Nobody, whatever their race, sex, or social status, would be safe from the killing spree.
The first person that they killed was Kyle Velasquez, who didn't know to hide. He had a disability, and he liked simple things. His family said he liked panda bears, he liked coloring, and they became the bully.
What would happen next in that library would horrify the world. Throughout 1998 and early 99, Columbine High School students, Eric Harris
This nigga got a
and
bazooka.
Dylan Klebold, had made a number of home videos themed around violence. On April the 20th, just weeks before they were both due to graduate, fantasy became reality. At 11:29 a.m., they entered the library. Like his fellow students, 16-year-old Craig Scott was hiding under a table with his friends Matt and Isaiah.
A lot of students were being quiet. Some girls were crying, and some girls were begging for their life.
911 dispatcher Renee Napoli was listening in to a phone line left open at the library desk.
I could hear
No.
them speaking, as well as the children in the library. And there was the definite sound of gunshots.
They actually fired out the windows at the police officers, and 2 of those police
Shit.
officers, or deputy sheriffs, fired back. They then walked over and they started systematically shooting the kids.
They treated it like it was a game, like they were having fun. At one point, they would pop underneath a table, they would say something like peekaboo, and they would shoot someone.
I think that they were enjoying themselves through a good portion of the shooting. There was a lot of hooting and hollering and false bravado between the 2 of them.
3 would be shot dead and 4 injured before Harris and Klebold worked their way towards Craig Scott.
They came over to where I was, and they saw Isaiah. And Isaiah was one of the very few African-American students in our school. And I believe Dylan called Eric over and using a racial slur. We have an N-word over here. At one point, he was kind of backing up underneath the table, and then at one point, he was being pulled out. And this is something that came up in my memory later. I remember Isaiah said, "I want to see my mom." They shot Isaiah, and then they turned their gun towards Matt, and they shot Matt. I had decided to pretend to be dead and not draw any attention to myself. And so I laid there, and I could hear their last breaths being taken.
Damn. What would you do in this situation? Y'all ever been on a lockdown before, like in school? I've been on lockdown before. It was like wasn't nobody on the campus. Wasn't nobody on the campus, but it was like in the vicinity of our school. It was like a nigga, like an escapee or something like that, and he was running around like in the area of our school, so they called a lockdown, and we was on lockdown. Probably from like 10:40 to 12:30 on some shit. Like nigga just sitting on the floor. I was in the computer lab. Nigga, it was carpet on the floor. I ain't got cap. I remember. Nigga, I had on a red polo shirt. I think it was some khaki shorts. I'm pretty sure I had on my I had this like gray jacket. It was like striped. I had that on, and I had my Boosie fade. Well, not my Boosie fade. Well, yeah, I had my sky top. Then. I remember. I ain't gonna care, nigga. I went to sleep on the floor. Not gonna lie, we was sitting there for so long, bro. After like the first 45 minutes, I went to sleep, bro. As soon as I found out I went on nigga on the campus, I went to sleep.
5 more students would lose their lives, leaving 10 dead and 12 injured in the deadly library spree, before Harris and Klebold left the room at 11:36 a.m. and began wreaking further havoc around the school.
Deputy County Sheriff's Office, do you have an emergency? Yes, we do. Can you guys send lots and lots of paramedics? We have paramedics, we have fire, and we have police en route.
SWAT sniper Sean Duggan was one of several law enforcement officers with children at the school.
I got a page.
Nigga, we need Mamoru Uchiha in this bitch. What is you talking about? Man, we need Mamoru Uchiha in this bitch. Like, come on, dog. Like, that ain't even enough. The police, the fire department, and the paramedics, that ain't enough. Man, we need somebody.
It said, all SWAT respond to a critical incident. So I have all my gear, and I'm trying to call my daughter, and she's not answering her page, and she was a senior in the school that day. So I'm a little frantic that she's not responding.
Hundreds of emergency personnel were flocking to the school.
There was ambulances and fire trucks and police cars and sheriff's cars parked everywhere. And children were running from the school at breakneck speeds as fast as they could.
I was running for my life. And when I got behind the police car, I couldn't help but be thinking about Matt and Isaiah, because there was still a little bit of breathing, and I felt a little like a coward.
Damn, gang.
Oh my God! I was under a table and people were getting shot all around me.
It was.
Man, the news ain't shit. Ain't no way out here recording these folks right after they got out of there. There's something wrong with news networks.
Overwhelming to see the emotion on these kids' faces, and I knew that the world had changed.
And there's so many people. Oh my God.
Everybody was calling 911 from inside the school, from outside the school. So the information that we were getting was conflicting.
As a sniper, you ask what your rules of engagement are. Is this a deadly force situation? And I was told if any high school age kids come out in black trench coats with weapons, they were to be shot.
Amongst the confusion, the name of one
Exactly
suspect
right.
began to trickle out.
I spoke to Brooke Brown, who's a student. Okay. He's given me good suspect information. I think this is the guy. Okay, what do you got for a name? Okay, last name is Harris. He was friends with him approximately 2 years ago, but then he started acting really strange. Okay.
Hey, he's seen the signs.
It would
He's
be
seen the
revealed
red flags,
that
so they
Eric
stopped
Harris's
being friends.
behavior
Stop fucking
had
with him.
already been seriously worrying some people.
Along the way,
Okay, he got
Eric
that American
did
History
let out
X
a
cut.
lot of signs. He had on his website talking about how we wanted to kill all sorts of people, hundreds of people, wanted to kill everybody in Denver. And in particular, Brooks Brown, his former friend.
Wow,
Disputes like the incident with the broken windshield had put Brown on Harris's hit list.
Brooks was supposed to pick Eric up for school, and Brooks was terrible with being on time, and Brooks slept in and didn't pick him up, and that was it. That was it. And I said to Brooks, can you smooth it over? And Brooks said, it doesn't work that way with Eric. And so that was the indication Eric doesn't forgive.
What
He
the
was an injustice.
fuck? Bro, I ain't gonna lie. How do you respond to that as a parent, bro? Like this shit is crazy. Like, this is crazy. I ain't never heard no story like this. Like, everybody got their own point of view. Everybody, even people that ain't have nothing to do with it, like these two parents right here. Like this mom and dad. They had nothing to do with it. They got their own point of view. It's valid, too.
Dylan, who was still friends with, and had been lifelong friends with Brooks, warned Brooks to go to a website and see what was going on.
He was posting threats about wanting to kill Brooks, and that's the thing we took to the police. And from when he started making the death threats, he wasn't allowed in our house anymore. We knew that Eric was dangerous. We did not know Dylan was
When we turned them into the police, Eric was into pipe bombs, and he was talking about it on his website.
There was actually a search warrant drawn up, but then was never taken before a judge to search Eric's house. That was never followed up on because there was another series of murders in the town where the person investigating sort of went off that case for a while and never picked it up again.
Yeah. Yo, suburban town, old folks, not too much crime going on, not too much crazy crime at all. And a murder happens, that's all, that's like, in a town like this. Y'all think it could have been them? That's the point I'm getting at. Y'all think it could have been them or one of them? Cause it's like that happens, and then what? A couple weeks, couple months later, and this happens. They had time. They sat on, like, it could have been them. They had time, sat on it, relived that feeling over and over again. And like, we need more of that. We're gonna do it at school. We're gonna kill as many people as we possibly can. That's just a theory. That's just some shit I'm throwing out. I might be pulling that shit out my ass.
But Harris and Klebold's plan involved
Pipe
something
bomb,
much
though.
worse than homemade pipe bomb grenades. As Sean Graves, still paralyzed and bleeding half inside the cafeteria door, was about to experience.
I started hearing the gunshots getting closer, and that's when I realized that they were coming down the stairs in the cafeteria. They just kept getting closer and closer and closer, and I started hearing explosions. But every time there was a shot and then one of those larger booms went off, I flinched.
Harris and Klebold's killing spree had not just been planned as a shooting. Before they had opened fire that morning, they had placed 2 large explosive devices in the canteen. They had been timed to explode at 11:17 a.m. and the 2 students had planned to wait outside to pick off any survivors fleeing the scene.
Eric Harris had even gone so far as to study how many people were in the cafeteria
Like-
at any given time during the lunch hour. So he set those bombs to go off when he would have the mass casualty. Approximately 450 is what he was estimating, and we had 455 kids down there.
The bomb's timers had not worked, which is why Harris...
Bro, the fucked up part is these niggas are intelligent, bro. That's the thing about people like these guys. Like, they are extremely intelligent. Like, they could be out this bitch using their intelligence to get us to figure out light speed, get us to another planet or some shit like that. Nah, this is what they using they high ass levels of education for. Do good in the world.
Harris and Klebold had
Look to
begun their
do
killing
good in the
spree
world
with their guns.
with the shit that you
However,
do,
they'd
man.
not given up on their dream of blowing up the school.
Well, I didn't know it at the time. There was actually a propane canister bomb, essentially, that was no more than 5 feet from where I was laying. And they were shooting at it, trying to get the bomb to go off.
Excuse me. Oh my God.
Their new attempts to detonate the bombs only succeeded in a relatively small partial explosion and fire. but they were a sign of a highly planned, premeditated suicide mission.
These two students did not just snap. In this case, it was clear they began talking about doing something like this just about a little over a year before. Eric Harris's first entry in his journal, in his notebook, is April 10th, 1998. The first words I read, I think, kind of set the tone, and it was, I hate the effing world.
You know, he's not talking about hating jocks. He's not talking about, you know, any kind of particular group. Later, he makes fun of just about everybody. People who drive too slow in the fast lane.
Is that James Woods? I was like, man, this nigga voice sound familiar. And I'm looking at his face and shit. Nigga, is that James Woods from American Dad, from
People
Family
who
Guy?
say across instead of across, or, you know, mispronounce words, you know. Any trivial thing, you know, there's nothing too trivial for Eric to have contempt for you.
Dylan also had a lot of writings and notes that he left. His centered around his emotions, his feelings. He clearly stated he was depressed. He clearly stated that his life was a mess.
Dylan's journal went on for 2 years, and the very first page, he talks about killing himself. He had a miserable perception of himself, and often at complete
You
odds
should
with
did that
reality.
shit before you did this fuck shit.
He was, in my mind, a classic adolescent depressive, or going through an adolescent depressive episode. When confronted with some of his inappropriate behavior, he would get extremely angry. Whereas when people confronted Eric with some of his earlier misbehaviors, he would respond in a classic psychopathic way. He would tell you what you wanted to hear, promise never to do it again, and would be looking you in the eyes and deliberately telling you what he thought you wanted to hear.
Harris had a personality disorder that made him lacking in empathy for
Look
the
at Albert.
suffering of victims.
Motherfucking Albert
made him
Einstein
very
out there, big,
manipulative and crafty. You know, he had an uncanny ability to present himself any way he wanted. So he
That nigga
looked
look like a mad
good guy
scientist.
to many people. But actually, he didn't have a conscience, or what Sigmund Freud called a super ego.
Bro, you can't even see Cud top lip. Bro, y'all really used to rock these mustaches like this, bro. That bit thick as a motherfucker. That bit like it's finna walk away. It's like it's finna walk off his face.
Brooks
How you
Brown's
eat
mother
like that?
experienced Eric's excuses when his father...
Nigga, eating cat probably tickle bitches so much. They probably love that shit. Like, imagine that shit. Like your whole top lip is covered with hair, and like you just... They probably love that.
Sent him around to apologize for damaging her son's windscreen.
He looked at me and he said, "Mrs. Brown, I'm sorry, I didn't mean any harm." And I said, "Look, Eric, you can pull the wool over everyone's eyes, but you're not going to do it over mine. You come by this house, you threaten my kid, you do damage, I'm going to call the police. So you stay away from
Put
our
your
house and
foot
stay away
down
from
there.
me."
Let them know.
And he said, "Are you calling me a liar?" And I said, "Yes, I am. And don't come around the house again." And he got bright red. I mean, he
He
was
ain't like
so
that
angry
shit. He
at
ain't
me,
like
and
getting
he left the
G-checked like
house.
that.
Together, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold had become a deadly partnership. And the two killers were now wreaking havoc not only inside the school, but outside too, as parents feared for the fate of their children.
About the time I got to my sniper position, my phone rang, and it was my daughter. And I said, "Are you okay?" She says, "Yeah, I'm home." And I said, "Okay, I have to go. I love you." And we hung up.
Sigh of relief for
Many
that nigga.
parents, including Daniel Mauser's father, learned of the
Sigh of
unfolding
relief,
events through the media.
But it's still some
There,
attention.
on the television was news coverage. It looked terrible. But I said to myself, well, if there's something going wrong at the school, certainly my son wouldn't be involved. He was not somebody who'd be in trouble or being targeted by somebody. When I got home, my wife had a very concerned look on her face. Why wasn't he calling us?
Oh my
So I agreed
God,
to go to another
y'all
school
find
where
out.
a number of the students were being taken in school buses after they escaped. And as I was driving, I was listening to the news coverage. And at one point, I heard them mention that they were taking some students to the hospital. And one of the ones they mentioned was a 15-year-old boy who was shot. So of course, the first thing I thought was, 15 years old, that's how old Daniel is. What if that's Daniel? Could that be my son?
At the nearby elementary school, many parents would be reunited with their traumatized kids.
I saw parents walking out with children. And I just said to myself, I want to be one of them. I want to get this over with. I want to be one of those people.
By 12:02 p.m.
It's just now noon, bro. Oh my God, it feel like it's been hours, bro. Imagine what it's like being them in the school.
Columbine High School cafeteria exit. Student Sean Graves, bleeding profusely, had passed out. Meanwhile, 2 medic units approached his location.
I drove around the south side as we're pulling into the parking lot through all the cars, see several students hiding behind cars, several deputies with their weapons trained on the building.
I couldn't figure out what.
I ain't gonna cap. I'm in this situation, I'm one of these kids, I'm asking the officer if I can have a rifle. Not gonna lie. I'm like, can I get one? Pistol or something?
It woke me up, but when I did snap back to it, there was some commotion behind me, and as I overlooked my shoulder, there was an ambulance sitting right behind me. I saw 2 paramedics. One jumped out of the driver's seat and the other from the back of the ambulance, and they grabbed me, picked me up by my shirt and my belt, and they were dragging me out. And I remember just looking down to see my arms and my legs dangling. And that's when the shooters realized that somebody was down there helping us. And I could see the concrete, just poofs of white dust. They were opening fire on us. They were trying to kill us again.
Hungry, itching.
Holed up amongst the dead and injured in the library, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold now had their weapons trained on the paramedics and casualties below. By 12:02 p.m. on the 20th of April 1999, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold had been running amok in Columbine High School for more than 40 minutes, leaving a trail of dead and injured in their wake. Then, as fire department paramedics moved in to assist casualties, like Sean Graves and his friends, Harris and Klebold began firing on the kids and rescuers.
I found Medic 13's crew were struggling to get Sean Graves loaded up into the medic unit. So I came up in the middle of him, and one had the head, the other had the feet, and we stepped into the ambulance.
They threw me in first.
Saw another young man laying by the fence, and then he turned his head and made eye contact with me and said, "Help me." I scooped up and dumped the young man literally into the back of the ambulance so that they could get out of the gunfire.
I just remember hearing the sounds of bullets hitting the top of the ambulance, just the metal tinging. And that's, I'll take that away from all of that.
Fuck, them niggas really wanted his ass gone. They wanted them niggas gone, bro.
Of Harris and Klebold's killing spree.
They were shooting at the cops, they were taking pot shots, and police were firing back. And I think they realized the only escape was going to be into the long arm of the law and a prosecution and jail and prison. And I think there was a thought of, let's end this the way we want it to end. Let's control our own destiny.
At around 12:08 p.m., Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold took their own lives.
Bogus as hell. Bogus as hell. Bogus as hell. Bogus as hell. All this shit y'all done put these people through, and y'all want to take the easy way out and off yourselves. Think about all the fear they done put all these people through for this last 45 minutes, and they decide to off themselves. Nigga, you was too deep in. You might as well just go and do your time in jail, nigga. Y'all bogus as hell. Some busters, some hoes, some lames. All this because they ain't have no fucking friends.
But for the children of Columbine High School and their parents, the nightmare was far from over.
Kids would leave Columbine and they would be placed on a bus and reunified with their parents. And as the night went on, buses were not arriving and there were still parents left.
After nothing happening for a while, they informed us that there was one last school bus that was coming. One last school bus with students.
But for some desperate parents, clinging on to the hope that their children would return, there was to be no happy ending.
Later on, the authorities confirmed to us that they made a terrible mistake. There was no last school bus.
That shit eating him up
At
on the inside.
the end of the day, we had 13 innocent people killed, which were 12 students and one teacher. In addition, Harris and Klebold also dead by apparent suicide in the library. So we knew we had 15 fatalities, most of the fatalities in the library.
For Craig Scott, who had suffered the trauma of having his friends murdered beside him in the library, there was worse to come when he learned of the fate of his sister.
Rachel was the first one that was killed, and she had been killed right outside the school library. And I realized that when I ran out of the school, I had ran right by Rachel. And
survivor's remorse is a real fucking thing, bro. That nigga said, as I was running out of school, I realized I ran right past my sister, who was equally, if not more, terrified than me. And I ran right past her. She probably seen me, and I just kept going. I didn't even think about her. I just left her.
My son was one of the last that was shot. He was next to last who was shot. And from the reports that we have, Eric Harris looked at Daniel and insulted him. I believe it was, he called him Four Eyes because he wore glasses. And he fired a shot that went into Daniel's hand. Daniel fought back. He took the chair that was there and he pushed it towards Eric Harris.
Yes, sir, Daniel. Yes, sir, Daniel. Yes, sir. That boy a fighter. That boy a fighter, bro. He got that dog in him. Much respect to you, my partner.
And for that, he paid with his life. Eric Harris fired one more time and shot him in the face. Killed him.
So what caused these two students, both just weeks
Raised
away
them
from
right,
graduating,
bruh.
to have
Yeah,
such
nothing you could
disdain
do.
for human life?
These two kids did not come out of their mother's womb hating.
Fuck.
What happened from the time they were born?
I understand that, but it's like, some people really just might be born evil, bro. Actually, I'm not gonna say that just straight up. I think it's like every single person has a certain capacity for evilness inside their body when they're born, and then an effect of things that happen in their life and how they deal with those things that happen to them in their life. Like he was finna say, I'm pretty sure he's finna be like, some shit had to have happened before this. Like, they didn't just come out the womb being like this. But man, some people grow up in loving homes and like they still end up like this. So it's hard. It's like the are you born gay or do you choose to be gay? It's like that thing. It's like that talk. We're not getting to that right now, but it kind of similar.
Born to the time that they carried out this horrific act.
How y'all feel about it?
One thing that is erroneous is to talk
Are you
about
born evil?
why they
Are
did
you,
this,
like,
implying
or
that
does
it was
something
for the same
happen in real
reasons. They were
life?
two basically different guys. In my colloquialisms, I would say Eric Harris was filled with anger, with rage. He wanted to hurt other people and didn't care if he died.
I'll beat
Dylan,
the shit
on the
out
other
that
hand,
nigga.
I believe
I
was
will beat
hurting
the shit
and
out.
didn't-
Like, look at him. I will beat the shit out this nigga. Fuck all that gun shit, nigga. Put your hands up, dog. I will beat the shit out this nigga. That nigga's a buster.
Care if he
And your
died.
partner.
Dylan, on the other hand, I believe was hurting inside and at various times wanted to die because he felt so bad.
These the niggas. I know I do a lot of goofy shit on my YouTube channel, but these niggas in real life some goofies. These niggas are some goofies.
Bad, he just saw no reason to keep on living.
People who study these call them dyads.
Motherfuckers like
there's a
them
long history
disgust
of
me.
Bonnie and Clyde, Leopold and Loeb. And very often, most often, you have a stronger person and a weaker person. In this case, Dylan had incredibly low self-esteem, needed somebody to validate him, make him feel good about himself.
Some consider bullying at the school to be the primary factor.
Once you hate the bullies,
So,
and
like,
no one
the
does
way these
anything
niggas'
to
life
defend
was
you,
going, they was perfect
you hate
for
the
each
people
other.
in the
Like,
class that don't say anything.
They
You hate
probably
the
weren't
teacher
even
that doesn't say anything.
friends.
You hate the
Oh my
counselors that
God,
allow it
these
to
niggas
happen.
probably weren't even friends. They just came together for a mutual goal, for a mutual reasoning. This, like you said, the nigga had low self-esteem. He needed somebody to validate him. Like these niggas just they were the opposites of each other. What this person had, the other didn't have. What this person had, the other didn't have. All for one, all one for all. On some shit for real. Like, they just the straight up the opposites of each other, and opposites attract. Y'all already know what they say. And they come together and
They, in essence, end up hating the school, not just the bullies. They hate the school, and they want to kill the school.
I think that they didn't see that they had a lot going for them.
nah, these
They
niggas ain't
became
have shit going for
isolated,
them.
And that isolation
I ain't gonna
and
cap. These niggas
exposure
ain't have shit
to,
going for themselves.
a lot of negative influences in their life that they chose to focus on, I think really took them towards a darker and darker place.
This nigga probably can barely live with
Harris
himself.
was the dominant person.
He
who
probably think about this shit
inspired
all the time,
the
cuz probably had
Columbine massacre.
nightmares.
And I think Klebold went along to get along. It was that chemistry that created this insane circumstance
That's
where they
what I
were
said.
able to kill lots of people with moral impunity.
For the Columbine teachers, students, and parents, life would never be the same again.
I was paralyzed from the waist down. I spent months in the hospital. They didn't foresee me ever walking again.
But you did it, though.
And I was angry. I was
But you
very
did it,
angry
though.
about that.
But you did it, though.
At the same time, I'm extremely stubborn.
But you did it, though.
I didn't let that be the end of it.
But
I
you
made a
did
goal
it, though. Shout out my nigga,
for myself
man.
to walk across the stage at graduation. I wanted to be able to graduate.
I just thought, bro, how does the rest of this school year go? Like, nigga, do you just go back to school like nothing happened? Like, nigga, I don't know if I can walk them halls the same ever again. Like, just imagine you walking the halls. You looking around, you know, everybody moved classes around the same time. In high school, everybody moving classes at the same time in high school. The bell ring, everybody coming out, they talking, you just looking around. And you know how in the movies it's like, you seeing everything fast, that's how it is. And you hearing the, you hearing the screams and shit. Oh, boy. Like, imagine going into that library again and you was in there when that shit was happening. When they was looking under the table talking about peekaboo and shooting niggas in their face.
Knowing that
Damn,
I didn't let
graduation
those two
probably was
control my life. I didn't let
bittersweet.
them ruin my life. And I've actually been walking ever since.
Congrats to you, my brother.
For 911 dispatcher Rene Napoli, who listened as 10 children were murdered in the
I'm
library,
retiring.
the enormity of what she'd heard soon hit home.
My first day off, I went to pick up my children from high school.
Shit. Nigga like me retiring.
Had a really hard time picking up my own children from high school.
Nigga like me retiring from that shit. After that, man, I'm finna go work at a goddamn little desk job, goddamn. Finna go be a fucking receptionist or something, bro. Get me out this field. Yeah, hey, this lady right here strong. She kept doing it. She been doing that shit for who knows how long up until now. Oh, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying I couldn't do none of this shit every single day. I could do all this shit every single day. But damn, like, who wants to, though? Like, who really just wants to? Because when it's cool, it's cool. But, man, when it's bad, it's bad.
So much so that
You
my
can
son
get so
had to
many
drive home.
wide range of
And that's when it really
calls.
hit me, is that I'm able to pick up my children from high school and somebody else is not able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The words that we have here were written by my wife. She did a great job of summing up Daniel's life and what this means to us to have this here, to honor him. Wow.
Man, these goddamn birds knew what they were doing. They seen the cameras.
It's like they did it for Daniel.
Damn. Rest in peace to all y'all. Big shout out to who? Real Crime for making this video. I enjoyed it, but man, that shit is crazy to think about. Bro, it's one thing to be a parent of the kids that are with the victims and the survivors, right? But what does it feel like to be the parent of the orchestrators, the ones who committed the crimes? Like, what does it feel like to be them? Like, you get this phone call and you hear, oh yeah, I just want to let you know your child, we shot and killed him because he killed 10 people. He killed 10 people, so we had to put him down. Like, what is that phone call like? Like, we need an interview with with their parents. But man, I hope y'all enjoyed this. If y'all want more like this, let me know down below in the comments. And with that being said, I'm gonna get y'all on the next one. Peace.